Great. Good morning, or it might just be good afternoon. My name is Chris Burnett, and I'm joined today by Talal Al-Bakr, who is the Vice President of Cloud for Saudi Telecom. Today, we're going to talk to you about building the Middle East's largest OpenStack-based public cloud. So the agenda for this basically is to go through why we built the cloud, what our reasons for it were, the goals that we're trying to reach. We'll then look at the marketplace, so the various services that we put on there. We'll go through then the operational part of the business, so the billing, the service management, and so on. And then, perhaps most importantly, we'll finish off on what went well and what didn't go quite so well. There's always plenty of lessons to be learned in this. So, about 3 years ago, NetApp worked with STC, and I appreciate that not all of you might know about NetApp, so I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes going through what NetApp did to try not to break up Talal's presentation too much, and then we'll get on to the meat of the presentation. So NetApp is a $5.5 billion company based out of Sunnyvale in the US. We've got about 150 offices, about 11,000 staff worldwide. And if you look at what we're perhaps famous for, I guess it used to be storage, so flash, spinning disk, and so on, but really transitioning into the data management cloud space now. Although there's quite an impressive list of number ones there, I guess where the company is now moving is more in terms of data management, infrastructure analytics, cloud-based applications. So if you're running an OpenStack-based cloud today, the ability to move data from an OpenStack-based cloud, maybe into services provided by AWS, Azure, seamlessly, renting it by the hour, and then pulling things back into your private or your research cloud is something that's very easy for us to do today. In terms of our commitment to OpenStack, NetApp has basically been in since the beginning. So you can see from this slide that we have effectively sponsored every summit. And through our SolidFire acquisition, we have deep integration into most areas of OpenStack. You can see from the top there that we're a charter member at the gold level of the OpenStack Foundation. We have a member elected on the board. We are the #1 commercial storage provider to projects built upon OpenStack. And we have integrations, as I say, with all of the major component parts of the OpenStack suite. And finally, at the end there, I haven't put the last slide on there. We're integrated into the latest version. We're about 6 months behind in terms of how we keep up with the various versions of OpenStack. So as Pike comes along and the next release queens, so we support the previous version. So as I say, I don't want to bore you with a vendor pitch today. We want to move across and talk about what we did with STC, how STC has been successful in the region. And for that, I'd like to hand over to Talal to go through the STC public cloud.
Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon, everybody. People tell me I'm a little overdressed for today, so I apologize for that. Our experience with the cloud is an interesting one. I believe that we've really approached it in a unique way. We've made mistakes. It's a learning process. It's a journey. We've evolved. The team has really come a long way from where we started in the beginning and where we are today. So if I could give a brief background about STC and what STC does. STC is one of the largest companies within Saudi Arabia, and it's one of the largest telcos within the world, one of the top 20 or 30 companies within the world. And part of that initiative, of course, for all telcos, as you might know, is to change and start to venture into new technologies, or what we call next generation ICT. And one of the core competencies around those is cloud, IoT, big data, AI, and so on and so forth. So So what was the plan around the project for cloud? What did we want to achieve? The idea was, in Saudi Arabia, 3 years back, there was no real initiative for cloud, for public cloud. And there was a huge need, costs were becoming highly expensive, and there was a huge push by the government to really find new ways to move from a CapEx model to an OpEx model. And that's where we started to see an opportunity to work on developing what we needed to do and how we could approach the market in a different way. So there were regulations. In Saudi Arabia, there aren't real official data sovereignty regulations. There are unofficial regulations around data sovereignty. And government entities had to be within the local jurisdiction to be able to benefit from multiple things and to be accessed by different law enforcement agencies. So the idea was to build something around that and to help them with that. Another initiative today, I don't know if you've heard about it, a few weeks back, we announced something called NEOM, which is the city of the future. And this is headed by Saudi as an initiative. It's a $500 trillion initiative. It's a city between Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Egypt. And it's supposed to reflect how the push for the future will be. And we hope to be a very important aspect in delivering on that future and pushing for that aspect. So what was the launch date for our cloud and how did we set it up? It was set up for late 2015, sorry. And what happened is we started deciding what do we go with? Do we go with traditional cloud infrastructures based on the big players, or do we go with something more non-traditional or a little tougher to do and but had a lot of different benefits and upsides to it. And so we decided to work on OpenStack. Okay, so why did we choose OpenStack? Because no vendor lock-in. We had extremely attractive price points that we could tackle the market with. And for a country that's moving from capital expenditures to operational expenditures, that was extremely important. And we were getting a lot of backing from a lot of government initiatives. And if you see the way that the GDP structure in Saudi Arabia looks like, it's extremely government-oriented. Now, that's shifting as part of the privatization shift. But initially, it was extremely government-oriented. So whatever the government the direction that the government wanted to go in, everything moved in that direction. And if you look deeper into the country's structure, you see all the big companies within the country are actually government-owned companies, like Saudi Aramco, the largest oil company in the world, SABIC, one of the largest industrial companies in the world, and so on. So we got customization, but we also got a lot of obstacles. So it required a lot of work, and it required a lot of talent, which we were extremely, we had a huge problem finding these kind of talents, specifically when you look at the Saudi ecosystem and the technology ecosystem within Saudi. The open source community within Saudi was extremely small, and the development community, or what we had with regards to open source, was around Arabization of traditional technologies and traditional projects. So it wasn't really that effective. So venturing into this was, for us, an extremely big risk. But what did we get? We were able to offer the first open stack cloud within the region. We helped a lot of governments on board. We supported small businesses. And we created a huge roadmap of how we wanted to approach the market. I'm going to touch on a few points. This is a little slow. OK, so how did we build our cloud? One of the aspects that we really started to analyze in the beginning was we analyzed multiple different vendors and different distributions of OpenStack, in addition to the vanilla OpenStack offering. And through multiple sessions, meetings, interviews, and so on, we touched on Mirantis. Mirantis, for us, added a lot of flexibility with regards to being extremely open. Other other vendors or other distributions were becoming more closed, more tied into specific ecosystem requirements. We wanted the agility and the flexibility to move in projects as we saw fit, based on the different business requirements that we saw, and based on different needs that the industry pushed our way. So that was one of the most important things. The second thing was with regards to being a founding member of OpenStack, and that was a very important push for us. So how did we approach the cloud? Well, initially, we began with our first inception in 2015. And we did the research, we did all our homework and all that different analysis aspect. Then we launched our first iteration of the cloud. And in doing so, we created a brand name for our team called Blue Vault, which had nothing to do with the overall STC ecosystem, as sort of an operating name for us. And in launching that cloud, we built a lot of different aspects. We built a cloud based on OpenStack, Mirantis OpenStack 6, which was in a closed beta mode. We invited specific government agencies and large corporations to come in to the cloud for free. And we started to onboard them, to sort of work with them on a different aspect without any clear SLAs, building the requirements, building the pricing model, things like that. And then we saw a need to really shift to our second iteration. Our second iteration was based on a more mature architecture. It was based on more automation. It was based on integrated billing with the STC or the STC conglomerate billing system. It was based on an ecosystem that we created for partners to support the cloud and build on it and things like that. And then we're right now at our third iteration of what the cloud needs to be, and it's our mass market production. We split our cloud into two different clouds, virtually. One cloud serving the enterprise and the government sectors, and the other cloud serving the SME sectors. And why did we do that? We did that for one specific aspect, that we couldn't approach the two segments in the same way. So we had to really segregate the way we approach each segment in a different manner. And that's how we started to come up with our third iteration of the cloud. So we launched in October 2015. We had a data center based in Riyadh. And when we launched that, we had Mirantis OpenStack 6.1. We used neutron VLAN segmentation. And this is very important to mention, because at that time, once we came out with this distribution, it was leading edge at that time with regards to technology. It hindered us in the future, as I'll mention as we go further, and it caused us some issues as we started to progress. And this is one of the aspects that we see as a work in progress within OpenStack that really needs a lot of work around this. So we came up with the second iteration of the cloud. It was around Mitaka and Liberty, and then we upgraded it to Mitaka a few months back. And it was a lot more stable. We initially worked with Juniper Contrail, and then we moved to Open Contrail. And this is where we started really seeing a lot of things really start to fall into place. This is where we started to see our offering mature, and we started to see customers get more adapted into what we started to do. In our first iteration, in deployment one, we had a lot of issues around networking, around structure. And one of the biggest aspects was when we started working on our beta and we started onboarding customers, we reached a situation where we got so much demand that we couldn't leave beta anymore, and we went full production on that beta environment, which in all honesty it was a good and a bad mistake at the same time. Why was it good? Because it allowed us to approach the market extremely quick. It was a bad mistake because the design was extremely unoptimized and unideal. So what are we doing with regard to the third deployment? We're launching in Q1 2018 our new Mitaka cloud. And this is where the issue is. Our initial cloud, deployment one, which was based on Mirantis 6, cannot be upgraded anymore. So what we're forced to do now is we're forced to build the cloud next to it and then migrate everybody across to that. And this is one of the things that we're seeing as a drawback within OpenStack. But with the new iterations of the different technologies that we're seeing with Mirantis, especially on the Mirantis cloud platform, it's becoming a lot more stabilized. Hopefully, with containerization, we're going to see things get more streamlined and move in a better manner. So how's the structure of the cloud working? Well, we have different projects running in our cloud. We have Swift, we have Neutron, we have all these different solutions, OpenID, Keystone, all these different projects running in order to authenticate and to control the whole environment. And as we started to evolve, we started moving things and we started looking at things and how to optimize things. So initially, when we had Neutron, we started seeing how can we fix that, and we started introducing Open Contrail and Juniper Contrail. So the aspect of how we started working with the different technologies around, for instance, routing and SDN configuration was based on the REST API for OpenStack. So we started to do configuration management. We started to do control analysis. And this was extremely important for us when we started getting multiple problems within customers. So customers would have a lot of performance issues. They'd have configuration problems. And initially, with the traditional technologies, we had problems troubleshooting that. And when we started off with our initial customer set, it was manageable because it was a handful of customers. But as we started to progress, it started to balloon out of control. And this is where we started really relying on the updated technologies like Open Contrail. So storage, one of the aspects that we're really happy, and this is the reason we're presenting with NetApp, is we're seeing a very strong alignment with NetApp. To an extent, we see them as our biggest and strongest partner in regards to OpenStack. What we're doing with them is a lot of different things around different technologies. So initially, what we have, the storage infrastructure we had was based on FAS, on-tap technology. And it was our whole infrastructure in the 2 data centers that we had. They were also our backhaul for our Swift object storage, and they provided all the solutions around that. As we started to progress, of course, we started hitting different barriers around different things. And this is where we started considering newer technologies. And this is where SolidFire came into play. We did an evaluation of SolidFire and how we can really see how it could bring a lot of value to what we're doing, and we started evaluating it. SolidFire for us was extremely attractive based on the modular growth capabilities. FAS is an excellent technology, but the problem is it limits you to the controller capability. With SolidFire, you just add more nodes. As you progress, you get more capacity, more performance. And for a service provider, that's very important. It allows us to forget about the design aspect of every individual controller and things like that, and just add appliances as and when we need more capacity and power. Another aspect was around our Swift object store. Our Swift object store was not optimal. It was providing only Swift capabilities. We were getting a lot of requirements for our customers for S3 capabilities, and for CIFS and for NFS. So we were facing a lot of different issues around that. And this is where we started looking into the storage grid for outsourcing, or let's say removing away from the Swift package to an isolated environment within the storage grid to take care of the S3 and the Swift connectivity aspects and offload it from a project within our setup. And that was very important for us to cut costs and to improve performance. And at the end of the day, object is not performance related, but the performance aspects that we were getting on our traditional Swift architecture was not optimal to a lot of customers. So another aspect around that was we don't have SDS. Now, we initially talked about SDS and software-defined storage, But today, we have issues around performance. Today, going to SolidFire was a reason for us to introduce also flash storage. And the problem with traditional SDS OpenStack technologies today is they don't provide us solutions with regards to performance around that. And when we did the analysis, a lot of customers were demanding more and more IOPS, specifically on block and also on object. So we were in a situation where we wanted to adapt an appliance-based model for our whole infrastructure, but we were forced to go with a server storage model due to limitations with regards to open source SDS solutions. So how are we really managing the environment? So we're using a lot of the different technologies that come within OpenStack. So we're using a lot of projects around that. We're monitoring different things. We're monitoring our databases, our back end, our front end, using Grafana, third-party applications, and things like that. We have a lot of in-house developed applications that we also do to monitor different aspects. We have fault tolerance and performance management tools that we use. We have Elasticsearch, Kibana, all of these different things. And one of the most important aspects for us is the concept of what we created as the SDC marketplace. And this is actually the bloodstream of what our cloud is. It's an in-house developed marketplace. We initially did an analysis of the whole market, and we started to see, do we want to buy an off-the-shelf product? Do we want to work on an OpenStack project and sort of see how we can really work within those confines? Ideally, what happened is we looked at things and we started saying, no, our best approach is really to go with something we can fully customize, something that will address our current and future needs without tying us down. And at the end of the day, it would allow us to bring in a better price point for our customers. And one of the most important things, as you know, with regards to public cloud, is reaching that price point where you can attract the right customers and bring in and be more attractive than Amazon and the rest. So we launched our OpenStack, our marketplace on OpenStack. It's in-house developed. We have a team of around 40 developers working on it continuously, coming up with a lot of updates. We've introduced billing per hour instead of per month, and to bring it to be more granular. This is all done within our marketplace. We've introduced integration with our SDC billing, and we've introduced also integration with credit card billing. So we've added all of these different layers, and we've developed them all in-house. So how do we do a service order management process within our cloud? So today, we do two different aspects with regards to service order management. We do them for internal services and for our external customer services. And we go to a process where we get an order validation, order decommissioning, and orchestration, and so on. And we go through this process for two aspects: our internal systems and services that are serving the cloud customers, and also the systems that the customers themselves use and the compute resources that the customers themselves use. So with regards to billing, how do we do that? Billing, we integrated a bus, and we've integrated an API environment where we pull all the information from our compute, our SDN, our object storage, our block storage, glance, and we go and we integrate it into the bill, and then we do a polling mechanism, and we then send it out to either SDC billing or to our credit card billing system, and we start to charge the customers around that. One of the most important things in developing our cloud was providing an ecosystem around what we're doing. Today, we had an X amount of capabilities that we were able to leverage. And the team, while growing, was not able to cater for a lot of requirements that the customers needed. And one of the most important aspects that we noticed was we needed to build an ecosystem of different capabilities. And we broke it down into three different segments. The first being cloud service providers. So we started to provide a community for developers to bring in their applications and onboard them into the marketplace and really utilize the marketplace as a launch pad, or if you will, an app house or app store that allowed developers to bring in their applications and use the marketplace to resell those applications. So that was one of the aspects we did with regards to empowering the local development community and approaching the market with custom-built applications specific to the market. Another aspect was our CIPs, our cloud integration partners. A lot of our customers were having issues around adapting to cloud. They've been using on-prem. Some of them weren't even using virtualization at all. And what was happening was they were having a hard time adapting to the requirements of how to deal with the virtual aspect. And this is where we started, we built the CIP program, where we had system integrator partners get onboarded, get certified, and then start to go to customers and work with customers on helping them either build their environment, integrate their environment, or even go a step further and do managed services for our customers. Now, all of this was under the guise of our cloud, so we took care of the billing, we took care of the project management, and we made sure that the project continued and progressed in the right way. And it allowed us to really cover a big reach of customers, and it allowed us to touch base and to ensure a customer satisfaction ratio that was higher than normal because we had an additional ecosystem to support us. The third aspect was what we called cloud technology partners. It's based on technologies that we in-house have integrated into the marketplace to tackle specific different requirements. For instance, backup as a service, load balancing as a service. It's based on international vendor technologies that we onboard. And this also allows us to provide a more complete cloud experience for our customers instead of having them go and buy it from a third party and bring it in. We've created a program, it gets integrated, it gets streamlined, and it's all done through our marketplace. So if you see our approach to the marketplace is a little different than traditional approaches, where we're not really trying to just provide different solutions around database and so on and so forth. We're trying to provide actual on-prem replacement concepts and things around that. So what was our cloud eventually? How did it end up? And what did we reach at the end of the day? It's an end-to-end cloud solution. We provide the mechanism for the infrastructure as a service, software as a service. We have new technologies around platform as a service. We're launching a lot of services in the next few months. And we're at a rate of around, I think, 5 services a month that we launch. Again, our goal, and I think most public cloud providers need to keep an eye on the big guys, what they're doing, where they're going, and we're trying to progress as fast and as quick as we can to keep up with them and to cover as much services as they cover. So with regards to one of the aspects that we're providing with regards to our integration with our conglomerate organization, which is a Saudi telecom company, it's the capability to provide layer 3 IP VPN. And this, for us as a telco, gave us a leverage with a lot of customers. So when we sit with customers, we tell them, we're going to sell you data or internet connectivity and access. And in addition to that, we're going to give you an VPN layer that allows your data center to be part of our data center without going over the internet layer. So this, for a lot of customers, is very critical because it allows for a more streamlined and a more, let's say, integrated solution within their systems. It doesn't feel like they're going outside and into the cloud and things like that. For us, that's a very good differentiator, and it makes a real difference for a lot of our customers. So these are some of the tools that we use within our ecosystem and some of the projects that we've been running within our cloud. And these are some of the partners that we partner up, the CTP partners, or cloud technology partners that we've partnered up with. And we do a lot of different things. Now, looking back, what went well, what didn't go well? What went well was OpenStack as a whole for us as an experience was extremely good. We feel that we've been able to reach extremely attractive price points. The flexibility and capabilities that we're able to give, though initially they were limited, are expanding extremely well as we progress. We don't know why people keep saying OpenStack is dying. We see it today flourishing more than ever. And we are all in with OpenStack. We feel it's the direction of the future. Our marketplace was a key differentiator for us, and it continues to be within the market. We believe that our solution is extremely unique. One important aspect is also the marketplace has become so widely known and so widely praised that we are right now working on commercializing our marketplace to see how we can sell it to other entities and within our organization for other uses. Storage block was extremely well. Automation went extremely well. The cloud service provider partnership program went extremely well. Now, what didn't go well? Initially, our compute calculations were off. When we first launched the solution, our prices were extremely high. We didn't understand the intricacies and the different dynamics of how to really price point different aspects in the right way. But as we progressed, we were able to do pricing in the right way to be in line with global prices. I won't say we're cheaper. At one point we were, but we continue to evolve our pricing structure, and we've created the methodology around it that allows us to be more attractive with regards to how we approach our customers. Object storage, block storage, we had an issue with the migrations and things like that. We had a problem with regards to object storage, the performance issues that we had. That's why we're addressing it right now with NetApp on the storage grid, and we're trying to move to that. Actually, part of our initiative with what we're doing right now with NetApp is we're going all in with object, and we have the potential of around 6 petabytes of storage capacity that we're going to grow to within the next few months. That's in addition to the existing storage that we have. So we had I/O problems that were extremely bad. We couldn't get the logs, had a lot of issues. Couldn't get a lot of logs around that. Microsoft, I don't know if other public cloud license providers have this issue. We have a huge issue around Microsoft licensing. Microsoft licensing specifically for support is extremely hard on OpenStack, and I think for all cloud vendors. Another issue for us was, we forgot to put it down, Red Hat. And this for me was surprising. Red Hat is supposed to be part of our open source community, part of OpenStack. Red Hat does not allow us to, it does not support running their Red Hat version on our cloud because it's based on Mirantis, and they don't support Mirantis. And for us, this was extremely, it took us back. Why? Red Hat is a leader in the OpenStack community. It's a leader in the open source community, but it's doing all these different aspects to leverage itself. For us, it was extremely negative. Availability zones, we didn't have availability zones initially, and that caused us a lot of problems. Now we've started to implement those. Boot from images, we had a lot of issues around that and around customer image requirements and size requirements. VLAN segmentation before SDN was a big issue. Upgrades, we did an upgrade from Liberty to Mitaka, and it was not the smoothest upgrade in the world. It caused us a lot of problems. One very important aspect that that isn't going right is that OpenStack and a lot of different organizations that we talk to around OpenStack see OpenStack as more of an enterprise play than an open cloud play. So when we have discussions around downtime, people say, okay, give me a 2-3 hour downtime window. And I'm like, no, this is a public cloud. I can't afford the 2-3 hour downtime window. If I get the 2-3 hour downtime window, that means I lose my customers, because some people have their whole business running on this cloud. So 2-3 hours is unacceptable. And this is one of the aspects that we're seeing really needs to evolve within OpenStack. The concept of how do I approach an enterprise OpenStack and how do I approach a public cloud OpenStack. And this is something that we're keen on really working with the OpenStack community and developing and seeing how we can take forward. And that's it in a nutshell. So I don't know if you have any questions for me or for Chris, or if you have anything you'd like to recommend, or any observations you have around what we've been doing.
Yeah, so you said you moved to SD-WAN type from a VLAN. So you serve MPLS from the customer side in using VXLAN or MPLS, or are you using for your internet?
We are using, we use MPLS as a backhaul for the STC today. So we go and we connect it through our MPLS structured network within the country.
VXLAN or something?
No, we utilize, we have our own special sauce that we use. We have our own technology that we in-house developed.
Okay.
Sure.
How can a software vendor learn more about your cloud services partnership?
We have a channel partner that that takes care of all our partner ecosystems, and he sits and we have a program around all of these different things. You can find a lot of information around in our website, either cloud.stc.com or bluevault.com, and the programs are mentioned there and the different capabilities around those. Sure.
Do you have, or did you investigate SEP as opposed to aligning with a particular storage vendor?
Yes, we initially did. The problem with Ceph on block storage, it's not performance capable. We've had a lot of issues around that when we started doing our tests. So we neglected it initially. Now, if it has evolved and is providing better block capabilities, that would be a good option for us. Ideally, we want to move away from, we want to bring down our costs as much as we can, and we want to move away from having multiple layers and doing sort of an appliance-based approach.
Mirantis cloud platform now, will it help you to solve some of the issues like some other things with the vendor-based
Yeah, the cloud platform, we're seeing it as a huge shift from the traditional, the first way that we worked with Mirantis. We're seeing a lot of capabilities around manageability, about upgrades. We hope that the next iteration of Mirantis cloud platform will be more containerized so that we can do upgrades in a more streamlined manner. But today, we're extremely happy with the Mirantis cloud platform as opposed to the old Liberty and before versions. It's extremely stable. The performance, even a lot of our customers came back to us and said, what did you do? Something is changed. The cloud just seems better. They're not aware of what happened in the back end, but they feel something has improved. And for us, Mirantis, I think, did a very good job on the Mirantis cloud platform.
Great. Well, it's lunchtime now, I think, so thank you all very much for attending. We do have a NetApp booth if you want to stop by and ask any further questions. And thank you for your attention, and see you at the next summit.
Thank you.